Today is Monday, November 22nd, 2021. I would like to call to order the regular board meeting of the Othello School District Board of Directors. We will begin our meeting tonight with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to welcome all of our guests, those of you that are here in the boardroom. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Those of you that are watching online or via Zoom, thank you for joining us as well. Is there a need? ¿Habrá necesidad de traducción al español en esta noche para alguien? Thank you to the translator for being here. I would like to motion the approval of tonight's agenda with the following change. In required approvals, that we remove item C1-7 and make it its own item for further consideration as item C4.
I will second that motion, Mike.
Okay, motion's been made, been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Jen, can we hear you, Jen?
Can you hear me?
All in favor, aye?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm an aye. Yep.
Thank you. Motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item B1, public comment. The Othello School Board of Directors is committed to hearing and seeking input from the parents, teachers, and the community at large in a variety of formats. One of these formats is public comment at our regularly scheduled board meetings. Addressing the board. When your name is called, approach the front table. Speak into the microphone, giving your full name and where you live for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Be respectful of the board when speaking. Be ready to respond to questions from the board if asked. Address your testimony to the board members, not the audience. Do not address questions to the board. The board's goal for the public comment period is to hear your concerns, comments, and opinions. Questions can be answered through calls or letters to board members. We do have some public comment tonight, so if Amber Johnson, you could come to the microphone, please.
Good evening. My name is Amber Johnson. I am currently an employee of the Othello School District. I teach choir, guitar, music appreciation, and Avid 12 at Othello High School. I live at 1818 West Krause Street in Moses Lake, Washington. In February of 2016, I stood before our school board and shared several concerns I had about the ability of our arts programs to successfully grow and thrive in the Othello School District. This evening, I am here again to talk about these same concerns. In 2016, I identified 3 major things that the music department needed in order to grow and thrive: increased staff, scheduling changes at the secondary level, and performance and classroom facilities. Unfortunately, in the nearly 6 years since I last spoke, we have made minimal progress on all of these issues. After that presentation, we were able to hire Will Ludy, and a couple of years later, Allison Voigt, to teach music at MMS. Mr. Hoffmeister and I became full-time at OHS, making our jobs more manageable. This was short-lived, as the 6th grade students were moved back to the elementary schools in the first phase of the K-8 plan. Mrs. Voigt was moved to Wajitas, and Mr. Ludy was reassigned to teach both band and choir at McFarland. Meanwhile, at OHS, classroom space became the issue. I spent much of my day for the last several years moving music equipment to and from the music room to teach courses in other teachers' classrooms. We were recently given a portable, but due to the OHS schedule choices, we have more students in our non-ensemble courses than can fit in that portable, so both Mr. Hoffmeister and I still have to teach some of our music classes in other teachers' rooms. Scheduling continues to be a major issue for the growth of our programs. I don't have time to speak about all of my concerns, but I would like to highlight one major concern. The vast majority of our students do not get any music instruction at McFarland Middle School. But then they're expected to complete a high school level music course as part of a graduation requirement. Imagine getting a high school junior in an English class who has not had English since 5th grade. I have this problem every semester as I'm expected to teach high school music standards to students who have a 5 to 6 year gap in their music education. We must do better to provide our middle level students with music experiences to bridge this gap in learning. Recently, you accepted a recommendation to discuss a potential bond resolution regarding the building of new facilities. Let me be clear, I am in support of most of this plan. All of our schools need facility improvements to properly serve our students. The part of the proposal that concerns me is that we are willing to build another gym at OHS, but have no plans to build a high school auditorium. We continue to prioritize the needs of our student athletes while ignoring the needs of our performing arts students. When will I see equality in the facilities provided to music students who qualify for state? We have 5 this year, by the way. I'm currently in my 10th year here in the Othello School District. I have taught here for longer than the 4 previous choir teachers combined. I realize I'm out of time. May I finish my last 3 sentences?
Yes.
In 2016, I explained that I chose to be in Othello because this is the place I wanted to build a thriving choral program. I want to be here and I want to teach our students. I've turned down several opportunities to teach elsewhere because I still felt there was work here to be done. I've given 10 years of my life to our students and this community. However, the actions of this district have painted a clear picture for me. I am replaceable, I am not valued, and worse still, our performing arts students are not valued. My heart is heavy for our students in our district. They deserve an equitable performing arts education. They deserve qualified music teachers who aren't spread too thin, and they deserve an opportunity to appropriately showcase their work in proper facilities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I made copies of my remarks. Would you like them?
Yes. We also have Mindy Christensen who would like to have public comment tonight.
That's a terrifying little beep. It's like something's gonna blow. Maybe I work at the high school. We did have a balloon go off one time in our office. We brought balloons for the scholarship committee or the scholarship night, and one of the balloons burst and one of our kids literally hit the ground. That's a little disheartening in American high schools today. My name is Mindy Christensen. I work for the school district. I live at 1110 South 4th Avenue. I'm here to talk about a similar issue. I am sorry for the loss, Ken, of your wife, for your husband, for your father. I'm here to talk about another loss, a loss of hope in our school district for our arts program. I don't know if you guys know, but we fought the state to be able to perform this year. They hadn't updated the COVID rules for the arts in all of Washington state since the beginning of COVID. And yet they had made many, many updates to the sports program. When we went to our local authorities, who we have to clear everything through in the health department, they told us we are choosing to prioritize sports over the arts. This has been the feeling of us since we have been here. My husband and I have been here since 2000. I have had kids in programs throughout the district, all sorts of programs, sports and arts alike. My husband is so disheartened, he didn't want to fight this year. That breaks my heart. This was his 21st show in all the years. In 21 shows, I think I can count on one hand the times we've had a board member or a district member come to our shows. We had 24 kids go on stage this year. We fought and we got the rules changed for the entire state for the arts programs to give them equity when it comes to being able to perform without a mask on, as long as they tested just like our sports kids. Don't get me wrong, I love our sports program and I love our sports kids. This is Mattawa, or this is Waluka High School, guys. They have an auditorium. Quincy has an auditorium. We have a cafetorium. I'm not sure if bodies are burnt there or if kids eat there. I have pictures on my phone of kids' personal information that was left backstage. We're talking birth dates. We're talking addresses left wide open for access to all of my students and Tom's students as we came and rehearsed. The stage was so packed full of stuff, we had to wait 2 weeks for someone to get it off the stage for us. There were over 12 storage cabinets. I can't even tell you how many tables. The stage has been dug up. There are chunks out of the stage. This is all we have for our entire district. We want to talk about equity. High LGBTQ community performs in this program. One of the most underserved groups in all of the United States, and we serve them through our programs, and we aren't making a place for them. I don't believe the last bond didn't pass because there was an auditorium on there. I believe it was the one, the K-8 model, that people really disliked. So I am begging, I am sad to lose her, I'm sad to lose good teachers. I am begging that we reconsider what we're doing, because that's a big buzzword nowadays, is equity. And we have continued the 20+ years I have lived here to show the inequity towards the arts. How can our kids know what is out there in the world if we do not expose them? We could have tech programs working with theater tech. We could have, my husband can't even do anything with theater at the, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to go quick. My husband can't do anything with the theater arts program during the school day because they don't have access to the stage. He can't teach them how to build set. He can't teach how to do tech. He can't teach how to do sound. We want to talk about an inequity. I know we need space. I know we need it. I know we have a thriving sports program, but we prioritize it every time, and I am disheartened. I am disheartened, and so are many other people, and I don't know how many more times to say it or how to say it better than that, but you kind of feel like the redheaded stepchild no one wants. Your program does, and that's pretty disheartening. So, thank you.
Appreciate both of you for your public comment tonight. Moving on to board member discussion. Legislative report, Director Stevens.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So legislative report, I'll start there and then I'll go into some other questions that I have. Is every census there is boundary changes that affects all of us for our boundaries within our school district, but also it affects our legislative boundaries. And I am embarrassed and ashamed that I haven't actually checked these until Friday. We are proposed to be in a completely new boundary. We will not be part of District 9 anymore. We will now be part of District 15. And so that moves us out of, so this one is, takes us out of that whole group of 5 and puts us into group 4, but District 15 is actually out of Yakima, and the senator is Jim Honeyford, and there's 2 other legislators. And so it did not pass the last deadline that they had, and so now it goes to the state Supreme Court whether they're going to approve the proposed boundary changes, and so that's the proposal. The change would take Othello and Pasco out of where we're currently included in and add 2 other whole counties to them and put both of us elsewhere. It is not something that they requested. It's just a change. So I'm not really happy about it. I don't know if there's anything that we can do about it at this stage, but I just wanted us all to be aware after we've been working on relationships with our current legislators. It's a little disheartening, but understanding that there's going to be changes. So any thoughts or questions?
When do these proposed changes take effect, Director Stevenson?
I am not sure the answer to that. It was, they've had a lot of town hall meetings and stuff, and I never even thought to look up, oh, does this affect us? I kind of feel like Othello is this, to use someone else, this phrase, redheaded stepchild that just kind of keeps getting moved because of our location. But I would assume that they're going to try to pass it before they start legislation, before they start the next session in January.
Well, my understanding reading about it too, since it's went to the state Supreme Court to decide on the boundaries, that they have until April to come
Oh,
down
wow.
with a ruling on it. They may do it sooner, but they have up till April.
So we could still stay in the same group that we're in, or they could change us in the middle of the session, or they could change us right before the session. That's crazy.
They did,
So,
yeah, they did mention that this is the first time it's happened, that the committee could not come to a conclusion, and that's why it's going to the state Supreme Court. And they said probably after the state Supreme Court hands down their ruling, that they expect a lot of challenges to it.
huh. So I don't really know where else to go from here, except for maybe sending an email to the new 3 legislators just saying, hey, we know this hasn't happened yet, but we had a good relationship with our current ones. We know it might not be you, but we'd like to create an open dialogue just in case it does happen. We're kind of in the center of 3 or 4 different sections, so we could really go anywhere. They could move us anywhere. But it means that we're not with the rest of our county. That's my biggest concern. So anyways, some things just for us to be aware of. Do you want me to send an email to who would be the next legislators if it's approved, just to kind of put something out there and say, hey, our plan was to meet with them quarterly. We'd like to just have an open dialogue with you, or wait, or what?
I don't think it hurts anything to reach out to them, to be proactive in case it does happen that way. I mean, full disclosure, like you just mentioned, we're not sure of what's going to happen, but in case it does, this has been our past practice, and if and when this does happen, we'd like to continue to do something similar to this. I mean, if you're
Okay.
willing to, Jen, I think it'd be a good thing.
Okay, I can definitely do that.
What do the rest of you think? Yeah?
Definitely.
Okay, I'm getting head nods over here.
Okay, and then for the next thing, I would like to ask and see if the district could come up with numbers from our music and theater program for the last, let's say, 3 years, participation in classes and extracurricular, so that we can be aware. Also, if there's future plans for more staff, I guess have a report is the next meeting too soon? So that we know, so we have some more information that way.
Yeah, we could certainly have something prepared for the December 6th meeting.
Is there anything else that other board members feel like would be beneficial to have?
I don't know if we're able to pull it off, but I'd love to know how much an auditorium would cost. To see if that's something that we could include in our, if we could fit that in our debt capacity. And I don't know if it can't be too late. We haven't done anything
There
is it too late?
when we get to item C4, we can discuss that a little bit.
Okay,
We're up against a time frame for submitting.
okay.
Um,
Well, I'd like more information on that, like if there's something that we can do to move forward with our current plan with information about how we could expand that to include an auditorium, anything like that.
I think when we come to the resolution, there's some areas in there that we can read that might help in that, because ultimately it'll be the board's decision on areas and plans. and I think it's in the resolution.
Okay.
Auditoriums have come up and have been a discussion in quite a few of our meetings. Not always successful conversations. It's not that those conversations have not happened. And I would dare say that the attendance numbers that were shared by a board member in the last 21 performances, not to be disrespectful, were not accurate, because I've gone to all of them since being a board member that I was aware of, and I think that Tony participated. Anyways, not that that matters, but I can understand feelings that they are not, that both all of the performing arts have not been supported. I can understand 100% where those things have been said, where they're coming from.
Is that the end of your report, Director Stevenson?
What?
Is that the end of your report, Director Stevenson?
I'm sorry, yes, that's the end of my legislative report and the other questions that I had.
All right. I know we don't have it on here, but I'm gonna ask anyone. I'll ask Director Prowse, and she was, Jen, I don't know if you went to WASD. I think you went in person as well. Do you have any comments about the conference this past weekend?
WASDA was so good. Like, the keynote speakers that we heard from were so good. What I found most impressive was the first day that we got there. It was all about student voice. So we had our student reps with us. It was myself and Jen and Jennifer Garza and our 2 student reps. And there were student reps from all over the state and lots of adults, lots of school board members from all over the state. And it was all about the student reps and how important their voice is. And we broke out into several different groups. And I will say this, our district is not perfect at many things. But it was really a proud moment that I sat at tables with board members from across the state, and many did not have student reps. And if they did, their student reps weren't at WASDA, or they were just getting started trying to get the ball rolling with student reps, and they also didn't have a student advisory council that, like, our superintendent has started with the help of our student reps. So we were able to give lots of really good ideas to other boards around the state about what we're doing and what our superintendent has taken on. And our student reps represented this district in a way that everybody should be really proud of them. They did such a great job. It was so good.
Awesome.
I do have stuff to add to that. However, that kind of is my entire student rep report, so I'm going to hold off on that.
Jen, did you have a comment?
WASDA always does such an amazing job, and it's so valuable to be in a partnership and with them. And I know that many other states follow WASDA. At one point, Tim Garchow, the executive director, talked about what he thought was going to be like 25 to 40 things that we've been dealing with as board directors since the start of COVID, and it was 145 changes that have come at board directors and districts since the start of COVID. And just like Lindsay said, may not be perfect, but oh my gosh, we're doing pretty good for dealing with 145 massive things flying at us all at once. And some of those are the same thing tweaked multiple times, like OPMA and MOUs. Oh my, so many things. So it was great to be, I felt like it was fabulous to be in person and to be able to connect with others, just to go, oh, we're all in the same boat. Oh my gosh, we're doing the best that we can, but this is still really hard. And some people that I knew, met some new people, was fabulous having the student reps there, loved it, and ditto to so many things that Lindsay said. You know, we're not like kicking it out of the park, but we're rounding from third base we're doing some great thing. I shouldn't have done a sports analogy. I should have done a theater analogy because I don't even know sports analogies. But we're doing really good. Could we do better? Definitely. Is Consuelo in the room too?
Yes.
So Elise already said that she wants to share in her student rep report, but Consuelo, I want to make sure that we ask these guys a lot more often what their opinions are. Is there anything that you wanted to share now instead of waiting for your student rep report?
I'll just wait until the student rep report.
All right, and I'll just mention that I did, to the best of my ability, I tried to multitask, and I know that even listening to the Q&A with Reichdahl and Tim Garshaw, there was a few positive things said. Surprisingly, and I don't mean that in any other way than I was surprised with some of the things that were said that were encouraging. I heard some things that I didn't expect to hear. The breakouts I attended, WASD always does a great job. I mean, it's relevant issues, it's stuff that is going on, it is usually hot button items. And I'll echo what you both have said. I think we're doing a real good job with what we have at hand. I've always said that anybody that says that they've arrived or they've made it is lying to themselves, and I don't think there's a district that's there. But I am very proud of our district leadership. I'm very proud of this board that through these 145 changes that have been thrown at us, I think we're in a good situation. We are striving every day to do the best we can, and I think, like you both said, we're ahead of a lot of people in the state. So it was the sessions I attended, the keynotes. I just take pictures of all their slides and stuff, and I use them whether it's here or anywhere else because they're very inspirational to use, even at a personal or a business level. But anyway, great conference. Glad you two were able to attend. Our student reps were there. And kudos to our team that presented. I saw a couple posts on Facebook from their peers, our peers, that were very happy to see the kind of stuff, the progress that we're making in that area. I want to thank those that presented. I saw a picture that had Jennifer, Pete, and Lindsay up there. Thank you for representing Othello the way you did. And I think it's a great conference. It looks like you want to say something else, Lindsay?
I was just going to say, we got a ton of positive feedback about our pre-K program that Jennifer's the director of. And another area where it felt like we're not perfect, but we were leading the way in a sense. And proud of the board and proud of this community for embracing our pre-K program the way that they have. It hasn't been an easy journey, but the results are starting to speak for themselves, and I feel like it's really something to be proud of in this district. One thing that I wanted to say that you mentioned, Mike, about the discussion with Chris Reichdahl. I thought it was interesting. I thought a few things, but I'm just going to stick to this one. That the mask issue will never be a board decision. That will be a local health decision. Whether I agree with that or not is not the point, but just so that our community knows that will not be something that our board of directors can decide from here on out. That decision will be made by our local health department. So take that for what you will.
Pete, I don't know if you have anything to add or.
I think just a bit of recognition for the student reps. There were a handful of students there, so it was nice to have two from our community representing and listening and learning about what's happening across the state. Also, the piece about us having an opportunity to highlight the work that's happening in the pre-K. Certainly, Jennifer had a chance to lead that, and Lindsay and I had an opportunity to participate. I think it's important that we recognize the certificated and classified staff that are grinding that out day to day. Mm-hmm. They're doing the work. We had an opportunity to share their work, and it was well received. So really appreciated that opportunity to connect with folks. And the last thing I guess I would add is there wasn't a lot of COVID talk in the breakout sessions. It was about teaching and learning. And so that was a nice adjustment after the last year and a half to talk about the important activities for our students apart from COVID. It was a good experience.
Really good.
All right. Go ahead, Jen, with your comment.
So, something that was mentioned when we were there is when the NSBA conference is. This year it's in San Diego. It's in April. And after hearing about the amazing presentation that OSD did at WASDA, I think we need to present at NSBA about preschool as well, if we can still get in as a presenter. And I think by January 15th, or maybe it was December 15th, is the early bird registration. So I think that we need to have a conversation about, do we want to go to NSBA, all of us, some of us, and maybe just think about it now, and then maybe come back at the next meeting. I'm trying to look up and see if I can look exactly the dates. I think it was the 2nd. So
It's
advanced early bird.
2nd through
due
the
by
4th of
December
April.
15th.
Jen,
And, sorry,
it's April 2nd through the 4th.
yes. So, I think it might be time that we consider going back. It's been 3-4 years since we've gone.
It's been about 3 years at least. No, I would charge everyone to, it's pretty well spelled out at their website. Take a look at the itinerary or take a look at the schedule and see if it fits your calendars. And absolutely, that'd be something I think that anybody who's interested in going should have the opportunity to go. As far as presenting, I don't know if that's something the district looks into or how that comes about, Jen, to be honest with you, so I'm not sure. I don't know if we can look at that or try to find out, Pete.
Yeah, we can bring some information back for the board at the next meeting regarding that possibility, but also provide some detail about registration and whatnot. We'll bring that on the 6th.
Okay.
Awesome.
I know I'm interested.
Really quickly, I just wanted to say, and I've mentioned this to like Lindsay and Jen, but from what I understand, student reps have never been to this conference, and I don't know that I will be a student rep at that time anymore, but that's not the point right now. I just wanted to say that I think that would be a great opportunity for student reps to go to if that's an option.
Okay. All right, moving on. There's a summary of our plus deltas of the last meeting. I think this method of keeping ourselves accountable or evaluating our meetings is very successful. I think we continue to do that. Our school calendar's there. Our superintendent goals, like we committed to, will be there in this section going forward. Moving on to item B3, student representative reports. I don't know if you guys have coordinated who's going first or.
I'll go first.
for it.
First, I have a question about the plus deltas. So those are done after executive session, correct? If we have executive session?
Yes.
So I really love the plus deltas and I love to come back and read them, but I was wondering if that's something that can be done before as well, because I think it'd be something that would be awesome to add to as student reps. Anyways, moving on.
What I can say is tonight that can't happen.
Yeah.
But I will definitely keep that in mind to see if we can't make a modification there.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
You bet.
So we went to the WASDA conference and it was so awesome. There was a ton of other student reps there, and so it was a really, I'm gonna take this off, sorry. It was a really great networking opportunity that was awesome for us to have. We have a student networking group through WASDA where we meet every other week, every other Monday, and it's the opposite Mondays that we're on school board, so it works out. So we met a lot of the kids from that, which was awesome to meet them in person. We exchanged numbers with a lot of people, so it's really nice to meet a lot of the student reps and have those connections. It was a good opportunity for sure. We also, I know personally I got contacts of a lot of school board directors that are trying to get student reps on their boards because they like what we're doing on our board. And so it was awesome to have that opportunity because we do have a really good student representative. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. We have good student voice coming from the district. Consuelo and I were on a panel for students, and so we discussed a couple different questions, just advising a lot of the other student reps that were there about how they can be better on their boards, and it kind of just turned into a conversation about what everybody's doing for their boards. We also, there was a lot of talk, as was mentioned, about student voice and how directors can really listen to their students. And so I know that a lot of the sessions that happened, they're going to be released in videos, right? And so I'd recommend some of those, definitely if you didn't watch them, it would be, or I mean, if you weren't there, it would be awesome to watch them because there was a lot of really good stuff said. We did a lot of advocating for student reps. As I said, there was a lot of keep saying the wrong words. There was a lot of school board directors that just had a lot of questions about what does your board do for student reps, and so that was really nice to have that opportunity. It was nice to meet with a lot of the other student reps and understand kind of that, like, we're not alone in the way that we feel. I've been on the board since my freshman year, and I've kind of just been here. Like, I feel like I haven't done a lot. And so I think that there's a lot of room to grow, especially just for me personally. I mean, there's a lot more I could be doing, and so it was a nice opportunity to realize that. The keynote speakers were really good. Both Houston Kraft and Aaron Jones, I got both of their books and got them signed, so that was really cool. Houston talked about kindness, and we do his Character Strong program in our middle school, which is awesome. We got to talk about that, which is pretty cool. And then I'm looking forward to implementing our ideas. I got a lot of ideas from other student reps, and I just have those contacts now, so I'm looking forward to asking other student reps questions and getting the answers. And then I also wanted to say, so I know that the directors on the board get the agenda before student reps do, because we don't get it till Sunday night. So I was gonna ask Pete and Marissa if that was something that we could get when the directors get it, because I mean, one night is not enough to go through the entire agenda personally, and often I have a lot of questions I don't have time to ask. So it's really hard to give you the voice of the student's opinion, when I don't even know what we're talking about. So if that could be something that we could talk about in the future and could happen, that'd be awesome. But other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you.
The conference was really fun, as Elise said. We learned a lot. We got to network a lot with the other student reps. It was a wonderful experience. I got to talk to a lot of school board directors and just help them better implement student voice in their school board. And there's just a few things that I wanted to say that I feel like we could do better here. And one is just asking our opinion after everything. That's a lot of things that we all have in common with the other student reps. A lot of us feel like we aren't being listened to, and our voice isn't heard well enough. And then another thing was provide training. Before, I know WASDA's networking program with the students is building a little handbook.
Yeah, we're in the networking group, we're working on a handbook for student reps coming into their boards.
So that would be good. Once we have that done, I'm sure we'll have it done by the end of the year, to give it to the next student reps, because it's helped a lot, being able to just know what's going on and just have a basic idea and understanding of what you do as a student rep and what the school board does, because a lot of students don't know what it is. I didn't know what it was before I was a student rep. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
These student reps and the other student reps around the state, I had to Google some of the terms they were using. Like the young people today, I get caught up in this like mindset that like, oh, this generation. I remember my parents saying this about millennials. they're going to be the end of this country. And I've been thinking that about Gen Z, like these young kids today, this. But these young kids today, they inspired me, and they made me feel like, you know what, we're going to be A-okay. They were saying things like, I feel seen but not heard, and I feel like I have imposter syndrome, had to Google that. Just stuff where they're being advocates for not only for themselves, but for other student reps around the state, for other marginalized groups that go to their school. It was just incredible to see, and it really made me feel like this generation coming up, they really have a lot to offer, and it was really impressive. I was floored.
Well, I just want to thank both of you for doing such a great job of representing OSD over there. By the sounds of it, you guys were integral in advocating. I can sense that you both learned a lot. And as far as this next generation, I just need to, in a good way, remind Director Prowse that that's why we're up here. That's what we're trying to do. Ain't no doubt in my mind that every student that we have at this district can be great. It's our job to provide the best opportunity that they have at whatever they want to do to succeed in life. To both of you, thank you very much. Appreciate the fact that you guys were able to go to that. And we'll definitely look into the NSBA, see if there's an option or a track for student reps, and we'll get back to you on that. But just a thank you. Thank you for doing such a great job of representing OSD. Okay, moving on to item C1. I will entertain a motion for required approvals.
I have a couple of questions before there's a motion.
Go ahead.
We, in accounts payable, we did 27,000 to Tableau software.
Yes, that was for year 3 of a 3-year contract for a data visualization software. It's the final year of using that product, and our final payment was due.
Okay. 40,000 for Trofera LLC.
Yeah, that was a CTE purchase for Othello High School for 30 desktops for students, I believe.
Oh, great. Okay. $15,000 to Valley Speech Language and Learning.
Yep, that was for our dual language program, and it's a curriculum that we purchased with a bilingual grant.
Great. Okay. And then BMO had its own page this time. And is that just something that is going to be consistently done that way? Oh, can you hear me? I think I froze.
You're breaking up, Jen. I could not hear the question.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, BMO has its own page, and so I was wondering, is this the way it's always going to be? And is there a reason why BMO has their own page?
Oh, gotcha. Thank you for the clarification. That was a software issue we had with Skyward, and so we had to run the first check by itself, which is why it came out in that way. And we have to do that before any other checks are printed, but this will be our process moving forward.
Okay. I move that we approve the required approvals.
Okay, there's been a motion made to approve required approvals. Can I get a second?
I will second that.
Seconded by Director Johnson. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving required approvals, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I will entertain a motion for the approval of accounts payable warrants 2.
I motion for the approval of accounts payable warrants 2.
I will second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
I will have to abstain from this vote.
Motion carries 3-0. Moving on to item C3, superintendent informational items.
Thank you, President Garza. Three items for this evening. The first one is a challenge coin presentation. At our last board meeting, we shared an update, myself and Ed Peterson, our Director of Communications, about some adjustments we were making to the employee recognition program that we had in place for just a few years now and had stepped away from a bit. But we're trying to re-energize that and give us an opportunity at public meetings to recognize folks with great ideas, great effort, and doing the best they can for the Othello School District and our students. So tonight we have a presentation that actually Ed is going to deliver, and it's for one of our employees in recognition for their contribution.
I always hate that when people tap the microphones and then I do it when I come up too. So you're probably familiar with the OSD Challenge coins, at least the idea of them. We ordered an awful lot of them way back when, but haven't handed a lot of them out. And as Pete said, we wanted to kind of change that and start bringing some folks before our board, before our public, and start giving some public recognition for the work that they do, because a lot of people make some outstanding contributions in our district. The basic premise of the Coin Challenge program was that we would recognize collective and honor collective commitments to students in our district, to recognize exceptionalism amongst our staff, and to recognize intentional practices to move our district forward. And that's kind of why I nominated Ben. In fact, that is why I nominated Ben for our first Challenge Coin in the new program. I know in my own work, Ben has been a tremendous help, and ever more so. And some examples I can give of that is his just being there. Even when he's not asked to be there to help, he's there to help. A recent forum that we did online with Pete and Scott from the high school, I didn't ask Ben to come and help. He knew the forum was happening. He showed up anyway, and he was a huge help in making sure it actually went off, because we had some problems with the stream that he was able to fix, and he was able to help me get in and out the door faster. But I've heard that over and over again from people that I've talked to in our district, that Ben is there to help, and he's a huge resource for them. We've done a lot with technology in our district over the last 2 years. Ben and the entire tech team really have really been at the forefront of that. We've learned a lot. It has helped us break the chains of some of the belief of we don't do things just because that's not the way we do things. And that's what I see coming out of our tech department. So Ben, if you want to come up. I do have a holder for this for you. It was ordered on Amazon. It didn't come today, but as soon as it comes, I'll get it for you. I'd like to get a picture of you with Pete and Rigo if they're okay with it too.
Ben, you're not getting away that easy. If we could hear a few words from the recipient, we'd really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed, for nominating me for this award. No, this is a tremendous honor for me. To be honest, our department and a lot of departments in OSD are kind of behind the scenes, and what we do, especially the last couple years with COVID being a challenge, tech-wise with Chromebooks and get everybody on Zoom meetings and things like that. It's definitely been a lot of change at a pretty rapid pace, and so being able to help out in areas like that and be recognized for it is really great to hear, to know that this is kind of just an extension of my department. It may be coming to me today, but it goes definitely through my department, and that Rigo puts that effort into us to push out our work ethic and things like that to make all this possible. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Ben. So the next item is I want to provide a brief update on the Superintendent Student Leadership Group. And I think it connects rather nicely with the comments that were shared from our student reps about student voice and really considering what does that mean. And to me, what it means is that we have a system and we create the conditions that allow student voice to be heard. So we got the group together. We had our initial meeting at Othello High School on Wednesday of last week. There were about 16 folks that participated, and we established some norms, got to know each other just a bit, and then we talked about 2 items in particular. We talked about the grading policies at the secondary schools, and we talked about the graduate profile. And really the intent of that conversation was to hear student voice, to get the student perspective, and to get feedback from them on the work of the district. And that's really what the intent of this group will be, to provide student perspective on some of the important issues in our system. Based on what we heard tonight about from the folks in theater arts and some other commentary that's been happening at the high school, I think they were meeting tonight to talk about the master schedule for next year. Perhaps when we meet in January, that'll be our topic of conversation. Here's what they're considering for your master schedule. What do you all think about that? So really, again, the intent is to get feedback from the students and then to have it inform our work. So what will we do with those outcomes and those takeaways? It will be to share them with the administrators, share them with teachers, share them with the board, share the student perspective, and make sure that their voice is amplified and influences the work that we do. So I think it was a good start. Be interested to hear from Elise and Consuelo and Director Prowse, who was there as well. But we'll get a little bit better each time, but I'm excited that we got it launched and had an opportunity to hear from our students at the high school and DOHS.
I just wanted to say to Pete, thank you for helping us get this launched, and even though it was mostly your idea, but when I first came onto the board, I had an idea kind of similar to this, to start a group of kids to just get more voice involved, because as one student, it's hard to advocate for the entire student body. But it's really hard to start something like that when you have no one behind you supporting you. So it's nice to have somebody in the administration to support us in that. And I think it's an awesome opportunity for more kids in our school district to have. So it's awesome.
It was honestly a great experience to be able to have all those kids there with us and have their feedback on how everything's going. I'm really excited for the next meeting. I really can't wait. I would just like to say that I feel like we could have more representation from DOHS. I know the kids that were invited didn't go because there wasn't like good communication. They weren't aware of it being on that day. So just having them being reminded. I didn't know who the students were. So maybe later if you could tell me who they are so then I can remind them next time and just pull them out of class and take them with me. So yeah, but it was awesome and I'm really excited for it.
I thought it was so good. And one thing that people asked over and over at WASDA was, how are you getting students to show up? And how are you guys going to make this be successful? And in my opinion, your support behind it is the game changer. Our student reps can have all the ideas. We can mull it over, but without your support and without you being the leader that you're being with this program, it wouldn't happen. So thank you, and kudos to you, Pete, for being so great and so supportive of these students, because really you're the facilitator, you're doing it. So thank you.
I appreciate that. I think it's important that we hear student voice, and just from a happiness and a personal fulfillment perspective, you get into teaching because you enjoy working with kids and they energize you. And when you're the superintendent, you feel that all the more. So anytime I can be around kids and not around adults, I will organize it and support it and lead it. The last piece I would share is based on what you just shared, Consuelo, and it ties into what Elise shared a bit ago in the student rep report. The plus deltas are a powerful protocol. They really are. And we went through the plus deltas with that student group, and what came out was, where are the DOHS kids? How come we didn't notify them? So we learned some lessons that day, and just know that that was reflected in the plus deltas, and the intent of the deltas is to make sure the next meeting is even better than the one we had. So we'll make some extra effort to make sure that those students show up the next time that we meet. So, thank you for that.
Any questions of the superintendent on any of those items?
I do on the next one, well, the financial report, first page. I noticed we're 160 students below budgeted. Is that going to be a concern in the future with possible budget?
Yeah, it's absolutely a concern. One of the things we heard at WASDA was this idea about FTE not bouncing back across the state. And what they were discovering, it was actually primarily in the K-3 area. Some folks who either had a good experience online or who were waiting for a vaccine for their students of that age, or found a homeschool program or a parent partnership program. So across the state, there's been a drop. What we're noticing here locally is perhaps what we budgeted for and what actually showed up. We're gonna pay real close attention to that, Ken, over the next 2 months. And then you should expect that we would report back to you and share with you where that's gonna land. But it is absolutely a concern for us.
I know we're not the only district with the same issue. I thought I read something over the weekend that said that the state is actually about 55,000 students below or less this year than last year.
Yep, there was certainly an impact. So we'll talk about the budgeting strategies. We'll talk about how we're going to address that. What we wanted to let happen, particularly over the months of October and November, is let the FTE flesh out a little bit and see where it's going to land. And then you should expect that we would report to the board, here's where we're at, here's how we're feeling, and here's the impact on us from a financial perspective.
I had one quick question on this financial statement, and it's on page 5. It's line item number 70, other instructional programs. We're like 113% of expenditures from the budgeted, and I don't think it's very much in dollar amount, but I think that when we're over by that percentage, that especially this time of the year, I just was concerned. What are other instructional programs?
Yeah, I appreciate the
Can you give me
question, Jen.
that?
So we're going to have Amy Suarez provide a bit of detail around that line item.
Okay, so what goes on into that program are, we have 2 grants for the high school. They're both for college-ready math. When those grants were approved, they were for 2021. When the invoices came in, they indicated that they were for the 21-22 school year, so they were paid during the school year. When we were preparing the budget, when we looked at the approved grants for this current school year, those grants were not on the list, and therefore they were not on the budget. But we are getting the funding for it during this school year.
Perfect. That makes complete sense. Thank you so much for that.
I was going to add too, sorry. So usually a grant is for the current school year. They give it to you. You can spend it from September 1st through August 31st. When these grants were approved, the spending was from April of 2021 through next August. So it was kind of a little different grant, and that's why they weren't accounted for during our budget.
All right. Moving on to item C4. There is a document, there's a resolution document, and what I'll do to open up this conversation, I had at least a board member tell me that, this merits that we have a independent discussion on the subject. So I will read the first paragraph of the resolution. Othello School District number 147-163-55 Adams, Grant, and Franklin Counties, Washington. Resolution number 112221. Bonds to construct and renovate school facilities. A resolution of the Board of Directors of Othello School District, number 147-163-55, Adams, Grant, Franklin Counties, Washington, providing for the submission to the voters of the district at a special election to be held on February 8th, 2022, of a proposition authorizing the district to issue general obligation bonds in the aggregate principal amount of no more than $51 million for the purpose of paying costs of constructing new classrooms and a competition gymnasium at Othello High School, constructing new classrooms at McFarland Middle School, constructing gymnasiums at Hiawatha, Lutakaga, and Scootney Elementary Schools, and constructing a new central storage facility. The principal of and interest on such bonds to be payable from annual excess property tax levies, designating the secretary to the board and the bond council to receive notice of the ballot title from the auditor of Adams County, Washington, authorizing a request for a certificate of eligibility from the state treasurer for participation in the Washington State School District Credit Enhancement Program pursuant to Chapter 39.98 RCW and providing for related matters. Basically, this is a legal document. I will begin this discussion by saying that we had an unsuccessful bond passage 2018, I believe it was. We knew at that time that our facilities needed to be improved, needed to be enhanced. We knew at that time that we were overcrowded at most of our facilities. And then what I've always, you've heard me say that COVID's no longer an excuse, but it was for a while. There was a lot of things that halted. I mean, our lives in general as a nation or as a world were halted for a bit, including how school districts, what school districts could do, not just in the art of delivering academics, but even in the utilization of funds for construction. We charged some folks to get community members together and bring ideas of what they thought, were some of the most immediate needs for the district at this time. These folks went to work. They had several meetings. I want to commend Gina Bullis and Greg Foltz. They led it on behalf of the district. They were the ones that spearheaded this. Several, I believe it was three ideas were brought to the board. One was decided upon. And I think tonight the discussion is I want to have each board member have an opportunity to give us, their input on this resolution before we have a roll call vote on it, which we'll have tonight after the discussion. So I will open the floor to whoever would like to start.
Okay, I would like to go next. And Lindsay, just to kind of answer your question earlier when I mentioned the resolution, in section 2, number A, it states that construct new classroom additions and competition gymnasium at Othello High School and make other capital improvements to expand and renovate Othello High School, all as deemed necessary and advisable by the board. So we could probably look at those possible renovations. That's what I get out of here. I would just play caution to how much we do change it, because we did have a neighboring school board change some things after a bond passage. Caused a lot of issues. I think right now is the prime time for this bond. It's interest rates are down at the lowest they are. The total, I believe, was $1.14. That's a very little bit for an investment in our community. And I'll go back to it. This is an investment in our community for years to come. And that's a little price to pay for that, and it's needed. Like Mike was saying, we're behind by quite a bit. Time-wise, this should have been done 5 years ago, 6 years ago, actually. And if we can't get a bond passed now, it's going to be hard to say how far and how behind we will be in our needs for our students. And we got to remember, this is for our students, this is for our community to increase it. And I'm in full support of this, and we need to continue it.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What is a competition gymnasium, and what is the difference between that and the two that we already have at our Othello High School?
Hello? Oh, it works. I didn't even tap it that time, Ed. The competition, the gym we have is a competition gym, but it's only sized for a certain number of students. So in the process, going through this, with the growth of the high school, that's what didn't dictate, but that's what came, the new competition gym that would hold 1,500 students for the growth of the school, where our current gym's only 1,100 students, 1,200 students. That and the need for more locker room space included in a competition gym. We only have 2 locker rooms. When you have competitions or multiple tournaments, we're limited on those spaces. So that's where the competition gym comes from.
I'll go next. The reason that I joined the school board originally, my biggest goal coming onto the board was to do something about our facilities. I had been to Walluk High School and thought, what on earth? How did they get this high school with this auditorium and all these things, and we don't have it? Somebody's got to fight for it, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to take up this fight. And so I was very discouraged when COVID hit, and it really just took the wind right out of my sails. And so Pete hiring Gina and this vision that they've put together, and this collaboration with Greg and other leadership in this district has really ignited a fire inside of me once again over our facilities. And I haven't talked to a single person who hasn't been in full support of the path that we've chosen with how to move forward in this facilities discussion. But I have had several people say, I love all of that. Why not an auditorium? Our community needs an auditorium really bad. So I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, and I understand that it's a need. And that discussion's not over. I just want to bring something to light. When we were at WASDA, Pete sat in on a bond session where other schools were talking about bonds that they had run. We have 4,500 students in Othello School District-ish, and we're trying to run a $52 million bond-ish, right in that ballpark, 51 million. $51 million bond. Fife School District, that has roughly 3,500 students, ran and passed a $200 million bond. And they've got 1,000 less students than Othello. So $51 million is not outrageous. It's not egregious. We're not trying to do something that is just way out of left field. Our students need it. And I'm ready to go door to door. I mean, and do whatever it takes to make this happen for our kids, because it's not just my kids or your kids, it's the kids in this community. And when you have the space to get into the class sizes that you need to, and you have the space to have gyms where you can practice and exercise and all the things, like it's important to our community and it's important to our kids. And I'm 100% behind it, and I'm ready. And I'm not embarrassed to ask for $51 million when Fife asked and got $200 million for their district. So we can do this. Othello strong.
What I like about it too, it also addresses a majority of our needs at 5 campuses and creates a new facility for our food services, which we have been needing for years to help supply all these facilities. So.
I just want to add on to what Lindsay said and add some student opinion in there because that's what I'm here for. I have heard from every single student, there has not been one that I have heard from that this is not what we, this is what we need. Nobody thinks that this is what we don't need. So I just think it's really important for the community to understand that as well. It's so important, and as far as an auditorium goes, the students agree. I have so many friends in the theater arts program, in the choir program, the band program, and it sucks. I was a band kid myself. Like, I completely agree. They are I don't know. It is, the students need it.
I just wanted to ask, I know that it's got Othello High School in McFarland and Hiawatha, Little Cog, and Scootney, but I don't see Desert Oasis anywhere. I know Desert Oasis is a small school and we have very little students, but we still need quite a bit of space. Our gym is very small, barely have any equipment. We barely have any space for all of us to work out at the same time. We have to split our gym times. Half the group is outside playing some game, and then half of us are in the very little gym working out, and it's something that I wish we could get, just be able to. I support this fully. I know the schools, they need an auditorium. I was a band kid, and I would be very disappointed if I didn't have an auditorium to perform in. And so I feel like Desert Oasis also needs something, because no student wants to go to a school where they feel like it's small and there's no support from everyone else. And so, yeah, that's just what I wanted to say.
Director Stevenson?
So I have a couple of questions, and I assume Greg's still in the room, and hopefully Greg can answer these questions. What is the capacity seating for the cafetorium that we currently have? Or anyone?
450 seats.
It's 450?
It's 450.
Capacity is a little more.
About 450 is the answer in the room.
400 feet. Although I could say I would love to have an auditorium that would seat every student at the high school, that's not always what's necessary. If we had like a 500 seat capacity auditorium, do I need to stop my video so you can hear me better? Can you hear me?
You're breaking up a little bit. Don't know if that would help. If you want to try it, that's fine.
Okay, let's try this. So if we had an auditorium with 500-600 seats, as opposed to, I think always the plan or the thought was an auditorium that seats every student, so 1,500 capacity. But if we started with a 500 capacity, which is an actual auditorium instead of a shared space that was at the high school, that would have, so that our current performing arts classes could use it as a classroom and a working functional space. I mean, I know you can't just pull that number out of the air, but even, do you have an overestimate?
I couldn't give you a number right now, Jen.
Okay. If we were to not pass this tonight, does that mean that we are going to miss the deadline for February 8th election.
I'm going to invite Gina forward just to give you an update on the timeline. I know that was shared by Jim McNeil when we met on the 16th, but I left those notes in my office, so we'll give you the timeline here.
Okay, so the resolution has to be filed with the county by December 10th. I think there would be some things that need to be done between now and another board meeting to make these changes. I also think I'm going to use this as an opportunity to say that the work of the facility work group in this year really is picking up and restarting the work that has been done, started and stopped, and some projects along the way, and we all know this from the last several years. And we're not trying to do a 25-year facility plan in 1 year. So part of what we're doing is addressing as many needs within a fiscally responsible dollar amount to taxpayers. But the work group is continuing to meet beyond the bond. And so I know that's probably not a message that individuals that brought this need here tonight want to hear. But we're committed to making a long-range facility plan, which is a 10 or 15-year plan. This current bond increases our taxes $1.14 per thousand of assessed value. And in 5 years, the 2007 bonds are paid off, and we take a step down from we take a step down by 46 cents per thousand assessed value. That is an opportune time for school districts to look at, even before that, to look at that and say, let's not do a step down. Let's keep our tax rate level. And so what would a 55 cent or 45 cent, keeping that, would that fund a facility such as an auditorium? The other thing we have to look at is our debt capacity. Even though Lindsay indicated if I passed a $200 million bond, the Othello School District would not be able to run a $200 million bond because we do not have that debt capacity, and I know all the board members know that. So to answer your question, if it was not passed tonight, I believe there could be some rallying, but if I can speak freely, I have concerns about rushing to make changes when there's been so much thought and purpose that have gone into what's been brought to the board. This was not brought by school district employees. This was brought by community members working as a team, looking at all the data and saying, this is what we can back and what we can take to our community and have a successful bond. So I think we need to remember that that's where it came from, and not closing the door to other things, but there were other things that came off of that list, a preschool, a new K-6. So an auditorium is not off the list, but it is off the list for this bond. And so I think I don't know if that answers what you were looking for.
What is the year that old bond expires?
2028, so in theory, 2027. So a scenario could be this bond, it goes to the voters, and we're all happy on February 8th at 9 p.m. The continued work to look at what would a auditorium or what other needs are we looking at that are 4 or 5 years down the road, and projecting what that would look like, knowing what our debt capacity is, because we all know if you just got your assessed value went up, which means there's greater debt capacity available to go to voters. So in 2027 or even 2026, a bond could be passed for some additional facilities, and you structure your bond sales out from, to keep that either keep the tax rate level or maybe it even goes up 10 or 15 cents. So again, this is new for Othello because we passed a bond in 2007. It's 15 years later, so the Othello community isn't in a rhythm of pass a bond, keep looking forward. What do those facilities look like? How much are they going to cost? When can we do another bond that's going to take advantage of a step down in the tax rate? And keep our community continually engaged and understand that, because when it comes up every 15 years, it's like it's, you know, a complex thing to process.
I mean, I personally am good with moving forward with our current plan that you've put together, Gina. And then just as a board, putting the auditorium on the top of our list of what comes next. Kind of like we prioritized a list with the track and some other things. I know an auditorium is going to cost more than the track, but that can at least be at the forefront of our minds in moving forward. I don't want to halt the momentum that we have going with this facilities plan and this bond that we're trying to run. But I also feel that an auditorium is very important, so that's not off my radar by any means.
And we may get as fortunate as last bond and have some left over, which may be a possibility too.
Yep.
Jen, any further comment? Okay, again, it's a very complex issue, and if you notice some hesitancy in my speech, it really isn't hesitancy, it's trying to, I'll speak to the community now. The five of us have, it's a very heavy weight when this situation or when this topic comes up. But you all need to know that there's been a tremendous amount of research, planning, strategizing, very detailed financial calculations, state match possibilities, everything that goes into coming to this stage, present a resolution, has been, it's been an excellent project that's been presented to us. This bond addresses a lot of the things that we've been talking about for several years now. This bond will enhance student opportunities, deals with overcrowding. From a financial aspect, the folks have been very diligent, as Gina just mentioned, as to debt capacity and trying to minimize the impact financially to our community members. We recognize that it is a tough world out there. Inflation, supply chain, yada, yada, yada. I mean, we can go on forever, and we don't want to turn this into any type of a political forum here. But interest rates are down. The debt capacity has been looked at. I'm trying to think of the word. Ken just said maybe we'll have some leftover. I don't know if it's like creative engineering or. As these things go on, I don't doubt that the folks that'll be in charge of these construction projects, if this is when this is approved, who knows? Maybe there is a chance. We wholeheartedly acknowledge this need for an auditorium as it's been presented. As all of us have had to, I mean, we've had to adapt, change, modify, adjust to be able to get to where we're at today. And acknowledging the need for this and maybe making some modifications on the daily to accommodate some of these needs till the day comes where we're in a position to be able to construct a new auditorium. It is not on the back burner, like Lindsay said. It is not something that, you know, they came forward tonight. A young lady said it's been 10 years. There's a lot that's happened and a lot that will continue to happen. I just think that at this time, it is the right time to try to pass this bond. It will be tough for a lot of our community members. We acknowledge that as we make this request, if this gets approved tonight, this resolution. But Lindsay has said it tonight. I know I've said it when March of 2020. We are Othello strong. We stole that phrase from other cities, but I think it pertains to us at a time as this. We're trying to do the best that we can for our kids. And will continue to do so, or I will, as long as I'm part of this board and I have an opportunity to advocate for that. So having said all that, I will call for a roll call vote on the passage of Resolution 221, excuse me. Director Stevenson, what is your vote?
Yay.
Director Prowse?
Yay.
Director Johnson?
Yay.
Director Garza is also a yay. So resolution number 112221 passes 4-0. Thank you. Moving on to item D1. We have a presentation from Ludwig Elementary. I'll let the superintendent introduce our presenters.
Yep, we're excited to have the principal, Jen Perez, here this evening, and assistant principal, Amelia Wright. And you had the site visit, I think, just last week. Seems like a while ago, but it was just last week. And they have prepared a report about the progress at their school this year and to give you some updates from that meeting. So I'll turn it over to Jen and Amy.
Testing. All right. We just figured it'd be easier than passing a mic back and forth, so we were trying to make sure everybody could hear us. I'm Jen Perez. For those who don't know me, the principal at Ludwig.
And I'm Amy Wright, the assistant principal at Ludwig.
And we're really excited here tonight. I don't know, we just flag you, Marisa? Okay, so we can go to the next one. We're excited to share with the board and the community really an opportunity to showcase some of the work that our teachers and our students are engaged in. We're really excited for the work that we're doing. And we wanted to remind everybody that, of course, at Ludwig, we bring a dual language approach to all the work that we do. And so anything that we're implementing at our school is always going to have that lens. And we are continuing our work with dual language education of New Mexico as we move throughout the school year.
Our goal for this year is that when we are clear about what we are learning, how instruction is impacting student learning, and how to support students and each other, student learning will improve. This is the goal that we shared with the school board in the summer at the school board retreat. It also aligns with our school improvement plan that we submit to OSPI.
So within the goal, we had some action steps that are really clear that we need to take with our teachers and our students. Our first set of action steps links to work that we've done in the past around teacher clarity. So these 3 bulleted items that we highlighted here for you, we're going to give you some examples today in the presentation of how we're making that work come to light and how we're working on that within our school right now. So Amy's going to start by sharing some examples of our first bullet there.
So this is an example of grade level creating a scope and sequence for math. And what we did is we took the number of instructional days that we have, and teachers planned for how are they going to fit all the standards in during that time, and when and how are they going to assess students to monitor learning. This is an example of them putting their plan down on paper.
And we start with paper because it's messy work and you want to be able to scratch things out, move it around, and then we move to a more digital format, and that really creates our framework. So being able to come back to work that we've started later, revise it and make it more easy for all of our teachers to use and provide the resources and materials that they need right at their fingertips is our goal. So every grade level, 1st through 6th right now, has some type of math framework, like an example you see here where they can digitally access some of their resources and materials. One of the goals that we have, of course, is to make sure that these frameworks include both program languages, and so we're working how do we not make a huge document include everything and have both Spanish and English accessible to our teachers.
This image is an example of questions for a math interim that our 3rd grade team put together. Each grade level has come up with a couple interims that they'll be using this year. And one of the things that we're doing is we're taking the questions that they have written and we're putting them in an online format. This helps us score student work. The online format does. It helps score the student work, which is really important when we're reviewing data to make sure we can be timely and that we can really use that data to inform instruction. It also helps students really become familiar with how an online assessment could look or how to take one.
So those three examples are from math. Our school, everyone at Ludokaga teaches math. All of our teachers do. So it's something common that teachers in English or Spanish teach, and it's something that we were able to start this process with. But we are also working to build our biliteracy frameworks. And man, when we started to dig into that, we discovered a lot of things about our teaching and our learning of our students by thinking about how could they really learn our language arts standards, all of them, in both languages. And what does it look like to share those standards among English and Spanish teachers and the student experience as they go from one reading in one language to the other. So this summer, much of our work with Dual Language of New Mexico was focused around helping our 2nd through 6th grade teams start to develop their frameworks. Much like the math framework, you want to include the standards and think about how you pace it out over the course of the year. But different is that those standards, they build with and on each other in reading, and you really have to be able to, like, when you think about the main idea, that means you have some understanding of key details, and you need repeated practice with that, and then you need repeated practice in both languages. So this year, as a whole system, we're biting off math, all those pieces, and we started with our biliteracy frameworks to really get them more concrete. So there'll be more to come in the following year around what do interims really look like in language arts in both languages.
We believe that feedback and using a consistent data process is important. So those are 2 additional steps or action steps that we're working on taking this year. So our next slide shows about the percentage of time that Amy and I are spending in classrooms doing formal classroom walks or observations. So our in-classroom time right now is about 33%. And time in management, which could be a whole slew of things. Some days you might find me in the cafeteria filling in for someone who wasn't able to be there for lunch scanning duties or even supervision. And so definitely, I'm confident to say neither Amy or I are satisfied with the level of classroom walks that we have listed at this time. However, I know that every single challenge that we have, we're coming up with a plan to overcome those challenges, improve our system. And the fact that our school, our staff let you guys know they felt supported because we are there to fill the need when we have it. They value the feedback, yet they also value the support as people. And so we are taking both of those things into consideration, but definitely working with some strategies to increase the time that we spend in classrooms. The next slide is an example of work that we did with our 4th grade team to go through their data from one of their interims. And it's just one of the steps in the process. Planning for the reteaching of concepts that students continue to struggle with after instruction and shown on the interim is really the heart of what we're trying to get at. If we know that they're struggling, what's our next step? That's what we're trying to get to. We have hit some snags, and some of those snags have been time for us to meet with the team to go through all of the steps in that process. It takes a while, and subs and coverage have been a struggle as well. We're very, very excited to say that we have hired a new floater sub, woohoo! And so we're excited to see how we can put that into use to help support teams. We've also been really creative to try to use PLC time and any other time teams are willing to meet with us. How does it work? How can we get it done? How can we put the pieces together? And they have been amazing working on being flexible and willing to jump in and try this process because it's not easy. It's the work we need to do. So we're excited about where we're going.
All right, the next action step that we have is really to build shared leadership. And one of the ways that Amy and I can have more time to be in the classrooms and really support teams as they dig into their data is by building shared leadership and making sure that we're empowering others within our system. So we wanted to share some of how we're doing that with you.
Our instructional coach and our K-3 specialists, our K-3 specialist have been working really hard to put systems in place. Some of the systems that are really important that they've been working on are systems for training our paraprofessional staff. They work with students in an instructional manner. And so being able to be solid and really understand the materials you're using and where you're trying to go is very important. They've also put in systems for planning for the paraprofessionals, how do they give feedback to the paraprofessionals? How are they doing? And also looking at our system for progress monitoring.
So at the bottom of our action steps, it's really intended to be like a foundation, basically, the last piece here. We always are working to keep a school-wide focus on building relationships and improving the school culture for our students, staff, and parents. And so we wanted to highlight a few things that we're doing for that.
One of the programs that we've been using and are very thankful for is Talking Points. Talking Points has allowed teachers to be able to communicate with families, but also for families to communicate with teachers. Messages have been sent to whole grade levels, classes, but also those individual conversations that are really powerful to build relationships between family and school. Oh, this is just a snapshot of our data from last week. So it's just the amount of messages that were going out and who was sending them.
So we also use Class Dojo. It is a simple app for parents, and teachers award students with positive points through this system. This also is just a week's snapshot around how many the positive feedback is really what we were looking at here, that 98% of positive feedback. So our students are getting consistent positive points that parents can know that they were awarded that point through the online application that our teachers are sending. I want you to know also that this work leads into our implementation of the house system. So it has a bigger purpose that we're starting with Class Dojo. Teachers agreed upon how and why they would award points, and now across our school system, we're working to move towards implementing that system.
So this is a day that our staff came together to honor Heidi Johnson, who is a former Luticaga Lion. Our staff is working hard to overcome a lot of loss and sadness this year. And we've done this by coming together and looking for and celebrating the positives.
Another person that we dressed up to send positive thoughts to her and her family was LaDonna Mendez. She's another one of our Luticaga Lions, once a lion, always a lion, and we dressed up in her Packers colors, and her team's been winning, so we're all cheering them on as we're now Packers fans, thanks to Donna.
Another thing that has been a positive in our hard moments is the support that we've received from the Othello community and from other schools in our system as well. This picture is just to acknowledge the support that Wahidas provided to our staff on last Monday. They sent cinnamon rolls for all of our staff and also a very nice note of kindness just to let us know that they're thinking about us and they're with us in our hard moments.
And through all these times, all the hard work that our teachers are putting in, the many hours over the summer, all the ups and downs that we go through together in life, the people we all show up for every day are our students. And man, those kids at our school, our Luticaga Lions, are awesome. They put smiles on our faces every day, and I just wanted to show a couple pieces of fun. Pete used to be the PE teacher at our school, and then, of course, Rudy saw him, so they challenged him up, and Julian went down in the four-square game, but he tried. And then here's Leo the Lion. Our kindergarten team actually asked for Leo the Lion to come in because we haven't had like a big school assembly for them to meet the mascot. And so he totally came in and was then bombarded by all the second graders on the playground walking out the door. So
yes, they were celebrating. They wanted the lion to come because they were learning about the letter L. So they thought it was a really fitting time for Leo the Lion to come when they can talk about L's.
So that's what we had to share with you guys. We also really appreciated the school board visit, and so we're happy to take any questions that you have for us.
Okay, Consuelo, you were with us, so I'll let you start if you have any comments about the visit. Thank you for being there with us, by the way.
I don't really have any questions. I just wanted to say that you guys are doing such a wonderful job at your school. And honestly, it was a wonderful time to, go and see how the students are learning. I really wish I would have had a dual language program at my school, and so I just think that it's really awesome. And You guys are doing great.
Thank you. We're glad you got to see it and that it was something.
I agree. I got an education. That was my first site visit at your school. Last year, I wasn't able to make it, and I missed out big time. So I was so glad to go this year and see all the great things that you guys are doing. Honestly, I have been probably the most disconnected with dual language. I mean, I've known you for years, Jen, and I know whatever you're doing great at it, wherever you are, but I didn't know a whole lot about the dual language program and kind of what that looked like. I've never spent any time on campus. And so it was really great to see it in action. And these kids, man, they're so inspiring. I loved it. Everything about it was really great. And your guys' teamwork and the amount that your staff loves you guys really have like a family vibe on your campus. And it was really great to see how well you two work together and how well all of your staff works together. And what's most important, how much these kids are learning and how well they're just excelling in this program. I loved it. It was so good. So thank you for having us. It was good.
You guys are great. One of the biggest challenges that you guys face as a dual language school is you have to duplicate a lot of things. You're doing it twice, English and Spanish. And I know that's a lot of work, and it's a lot of work that you ask of your teachers, and your paras, and all your staff. But you guys are doing it, and you're rocking at it. You're doing a wonderful job. And I always believe it goes back to leadership, too. You two work so well together. Sometimes I think you know each other's move when you go to do it. 33% of your time is spent in the classroom. That's an awesome number. That's great, with all the other duties that you have, too. I think it's just wonderful. And you could see it in the staff. The staff was very happy. They were very happy with you guys and how it's going. And that's always impressive. I loved just going around to the classrooms and us picking the classroom. It was no surprise to anyone, teacher, or anyone classroom, but it was surprising to see. Well, it was no surprise to the classrooms. I even got educated there too, as Lindsay said. I never really knew about the Prodigy program until I got to see it work. And I had one of the students explain to me how it actually works and stuff. On a personal note, thank you. I seen that picture. It was great to spend that day there. I'm sorry.
We were honored to be able to do that.
She loved her time there, the 10 years. My closet's full of Ludicolo Lion shirts. My grandkids wear them all the time when they come over to spend a night. I just really thank you.
Go ahead, Jen.
Love to see the passion that everyone has for the dual language concepts and everything, and it's throughout every level of the building, and that's so great. I loved the brutal honesty and the hard questions asked by your staff, that they were just not, they just wanted us to know, and I love that. To see your leadership always, and the support that every one of your staff felt from you guys was apparent. Not just the support, but the love, and none of them felt afraid or timid at all about coming to you about any concerns about students, about themselves, about anything. That's always great to see and hear and know that staff and students are supported and loved by their administrators. So that is always wonderful to see and hear about. Thank you.
All right, I will, all the kudos and the accolades thrown at you guys. It starts at the top. I commend you for, letting it roll downhill. I want a quick shout out to every single employee at Ludokaga. It takes a village. No matter how small you think what you do is, it is huge. It can't be done without you. If I can speak to both of you, because you guys work great as a team, your goal at the meeting was, and I'm just going to hit your bolded. When we are clear about what we are teaching, obviously, both of you, the system, your training, your PD, everything has set the expectation about what you're teaching. You're clear about what it is. And how instruction has impacted student learning. You're keeping the stats. You showed us some of that tonight. You actually, the good, the bad, the ugly, you state there's some opportunities for growth, and you guys are tackling that head on. And while you're doing that, you're supporting your students, each other, and student learning is going to improve. Your staff was very complimentary of both of you, how they feel supported. Challenges, we're always going to have them. There was some questions about the future thrown at us from some of the staff, and I welcome those. It just kind of tells you where their heart is to the folks that spoke that morning. But it was great to see. I'm going to throw at you guys something that I say a lot. And when I see these pictures, Mike Garza's 5 F's to success. I heard this once and I stick to it. Faith, family. You guys have created a family atmosphere, and it was mentioned 3 or 4 times by 3 or 4 different individuals. Friends, kids and the friends that they are, the friendships being created while they're going to Ludokaga Elementary is very evident. I see food there. Somebody was gracious enough to send food. You guys fed us that morning. I had a great, burrito. And if there's food, it's going to be fun. You got Pete to take his coat off, and I guess he's the 4-square champ. He's opening himself up to every school he goes to now. But no, Jen, Amy, appreciated the visit very much. You guys are doing excellent work. You're focusing on the academic side of it, while at the same time maintaining the human or the emotional side there for your employees. And at the same time, you're creating social emotional learning opportunities for your kids, acknowledging that the pandemic did some things that might have put them back a little bit as far as their social emotional growth, which was mentioned from the staff. You guys are doing a great job of it. It was a great visit. It was. I think I have an advantage where, when I go into a classroom and I see a young man or a young lady that is struggling in English, fluent in Spanish, but to see them learning, to see the eagerness, being Hispanic and being bilingual, it kind of warms my heart a bit. But you guys are doing awesome. Somos Leones, and we've got this. Thank you very much for the visit.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Pete, I didn't know if you wanted to add something.
Well, just a word of thanks for Jen and Amy's leadership. Certainly a team effort over there at Ludokaga, and it's always exciting to see what's happening around Dual in particular, and it's good for them to be able to share that work with all of you. Them paying attention to how often they are in classrooms is, I've shared with you, my own superintendent goes, how often am I in schools? And so we're all working hard, all of our administrators, to be out there where the work is actually occurring, so that we make better decisions, so that we give you better information, so you make better decisions, all in the interest of serving our students better. And I know that these two in particular are interested in only that. How can they lead in a way that leads to more success for more kids? So thank you to you two for always maintaining consistency in those efforts. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item D2, I believe Gene is going to give us some information on a committee appointment. sounded like for a bit.
Test it.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so are there specific questions about the pro and con committee, or you just want me to give you a high level? Okay,
level.
so basically, as board members, well, as a school district, the school district was required to post either in a public publication, a newspaper, or on the website for a week, the opportunity for anybody to put their name in, submit their name and phone number and some basic information to Pete Perez, the superintendent, whether or not they would like to be make a pro or con statement on behalf of the resolution or the measure, the bond measure. And then the local jurisdiction, which is you guys, tonight would be appointing committee members, no more than 3 for a pro, no more than 3 for a con, based on the members or the amount of people that you receive names for. So what happens there is once the committee members are identified, then they will basically be in contact with them, give them a copy of the Adams County voter pamphlet, and they write a pro statement, submit it to the county auditor, and it becomes part of the voter pamphlet. So you've probably seen it before when you're reading the voter pamphlet. Last summer when there was a measure for the Tigueras Park, I wrote a pro statement for that. So it's really just a community member who wants to get behind the measure and make a positive statement, or a community member who has a reason for a con statement. But in order to do a pro or con, they would have had to submit their information to the superintendent by the 19th, as per the notice that was on the website, in order to have their information presented to you tonight at the board. Any questions?
Nope. Appreciate the information, Gina.
Okay.
Thank you. All right.
I have a question. Was there no one that submitted?
We do have one submittal for the pro committee, just one. And if there were 3, there was a process that we had developed for 3 or more to select those members. We only had the one, and would consider adding them as at least a member of the pro committee.
And no cons.
No con.
Gina might have some information about that, a statewide con individual, but she'll share that piece.
You're on, Gina, I think. It was. He's earning his coin tonight.
I thought I was done. Okay, so I spoke with Adams County Auditor Heidi Hunt, let us know that there was an individual who sent out a statewide to every single county saying they were going to file a con to whoever put out ballots. So if in fact, and he was given guidance that it's not the county auditors, that they need to go to each local jurisdiction. So she has sought advice counsel from Jim McNeil on what next steps are. And so if there is a con statement that's put out there, the school district or an individual, like a community member, has the right to do a rebuttal statement against that con. So for example, if this individual, they're not from Adams County, they do a con statement on our ballot, to write a rebuttal to indicate this, respectfully, this person does not live in Othello or Adams County, and so there is that opportunity. Any other questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I want to thank everyone for being patient with us tonight. I think we've exhausted our times a little bit, but that's okay because it's been all relevant stuff that it was important to discuss tonight. We will now, the Board of Directors will recess and go into an executive session for 45 minutes to discuss the performance of a public employee and discuss potential litigation. No action will be taken following the executive session. We will recess for 2 to 3 minutes, allow folks to take a restroom break if needed, and we'll reconvene in Pete's office. I do want to let the student reps know, plus deltas, if you want to write them down, leave them with Marissa. We will definitely consider them when we're doing our board assessment of the meeting, okay? Thank you all. We will now go into a recess.